Hello, and welcome to Club Moffat Talks. I'm Joseph McNeely, and I'm an instruction librarian, and I'm joined by Sam and Austin. Austin, what is it that you do around here?
Hi, I am the night manager or the night circulation manager here at Moffat.
And Sam, tell us who you are and what you do.
I am the digital services and content specialist.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and kick off as we usually do, and just have a little go around and talk about what we're reading, what we're watching, what we're playing. Austin, I know you were preparing something for this. Did you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first. Um, in preparation for this, but also because not for this specifically, but for the question, I managed to pull out this, which is how to read poetry like a professor. Because I want to get more into poetry, but I don't know too many of the basics because high school didn't stick in my head very well.
Hmm.
So I'm picking this up, and it's a funny read. Just deep dive into what it's like to actually like structurally go throughout poetry, not just feel it and then just leave it at that. So it's been really fun. The author is really funny, written by Thomas C. Foster.
Hmm.
Um, it's a really fun read with really good examples, and that helps my little pea brain understand it a bit more. Uh, and I don't know, I'm really enjoying the poetry aspect to it, and I'm glad I'm reading.
Cool.
As far as like games or movies, nothing like watching. Uh, just been playing like strategy Total War games, but other than that, nothing too interesting on my behalf.
Okay. How about you, Sam? What you got going on?
Me and my partner have recently started watching Breaking Bad.
Hmm.
Um, it's been something that he has been begging me to watch for a while,
Uh,
but I got like squeamish a little bit at the first part of it. Um, not uh I guess it's not really spoilers since it's at the beginning of the show, but when they accidentally explode their place, their little RV camp with someone inside it, and then they have to deal with this guy that survived. I was a bit too squeamish, but then we saw Saw. Then we saw the movie Saw 4 in particular. And I've already seen all of the Saw movies, so I don't know why Breaking Bad in particular was making me squeamish, but the whole entire Saw series didn't. But rewatching Saw 4 in particular was like, oh, okay, it's not so bad. Can't get any worse than this.
okay. Yeah.
Um, Other than that, I have been playing a lot of Stardew Valley. Two completely different experiences that are happening with me right now. Playing Stardew Valley and watching Breaking Bad. Um, Nice little dichotomy there. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Okay.
Oh, and I cut my hair. In the last episode, my hair was long.
Yeah.
Now it is not.
No. No. Uh, I would say that it was almost a stylistic generational change, you know. Um, I mean, I could, it's like you had like Adventures in Babysitting hair, and now you have like Legend of Billie Jean hair,
hmm
you know.
Yeah, two complete. I have been told before that seeing pictures of me when I had my short hair and then like them seeing me in person with the long hair that I had at the time, people would say, "Oh my God, you look so different."
Yeah,
Um, but it's a good different, I think.
it is.
It's definitely a lot cooler, a lot more temperature regulated now. It's so much easier to dry my hair.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I will give it that is one thing I do miss about having really short hair. Like taking just a shower, like not even a hair day shower, like just taking a shower and now your hair is just like damp for like
Mhm.
the majority of the day, especially because we're in here most of the time. Like It's just I'll clock in and go, oh, it'll dry in the time. And then I get home and just a itty bitty little bit still. Uh, and I will admit that is one thing I do miss about having short hair. It's
Yeah, and
just,
with curly hair, you can't really blow dry it. It'll ruin your hair. It'll make it frizzy. So I would have to, and I don't have a diffuser, nor am I going to spend 15 minutes at a diffuser. My arms would hurt like crazy. So I would just let my hair dry at work, and I felt like a little bum just with sitting at my computer dripping. No, not dripping, not quite.
I didn't really imagine that that was the scenario, but let's
Just
see.
soaking,
Just drenched. It's like,
drenched.
yeah, it's like I didn't know we'd hired a bog witch. Yeah, it's like, yeah,
it's just about to say swamp thing kind of thing. Yeah. Just,
Yeah.
ugh.
Now
okay,
dry as a bone.
all right. I'm currently reading a book by Michael Connolly called The Narrows. It's one of the books in his Bosch series. That series did get turned into a television show, so some people may be familiar with that. It's the same universe that the Lincoln Lawyer happens in, which would be another thing you could possibly be familiar with. But reading that, and we've been watching a little bit of TV. We watched the new season of Daredevil Born Again, which was pretty good. And we just watched the Punisher special, which was very eh. Not that it was bad, it was just very unnecessary. I had thought that it would tie things together maybe better. Like that character is supposed to be making a an appearance of some kind in the newest Spider-Man
And yeah,
movie. And I
that's
thought that maybe the special would somehow form a bridge between those events, between Daredevil and Spider-Man. But it doesn't. I mean, it's not a bad story, but it's just a very
Punisher's story is kind of already done.
it's just a Punisher story. It's like if you went into any comic book store and went to their back issues of Punisher comics and pulled one at random and read it, it'd be like, oh, okay, kind of a thing. Uh,
I like the same thing again and again. Let's not break the ship. Just keep going.
yeah. So it had that kind of vibe. A little bit disappointing to me because I'm not actually a huge fan of that character, really, but I really like that actor,
Mm,
John Bernthal. Good actor, good actor.
yeah.
So that was a little disappointing. The other thing I've been doing, which has been somewhat problematic, is I have been rewatching movies that I remembered liking from being a teenager, like when I was in high
Mm.
school. And apparently, I had really bad taste in movies when
We
I
all
was a
did.
teenager. I mean, there are a few things that I liked when I was a teenager or when I was a kid that stand the test of time. I can watch them now and go, that's still pretty good. But there's some that's just like, oh, that's bad, and bad in a variety of ways. Like people in my generation have been told, hey, you know those romantic comedies you watched? They're terrible and filthy and just wrong. And so there's, that element because they're uh, misogynistic, filled with toxic masculinity, very problematic in those kinds of ways. Well, other genres of movies, actions and dramas and stuff, still have some of those issues. And then on top of that, aren't very good action movies. It's like specifically I was watching the Ninja trilogy, which is a thing from Golan Globus Canon Group. They have and they're called the Ninja trilogy, and there is one actor that is in all three movies. That actor plays a completely different character in all three movies, and the stories of the three movies are not connected in any way, but they're all about ninjas, and they're referred to as the Ninja Trilogy.
Mhm.
The fight scenes are bad. The they're slow, and there's so many points when, like, you've got the one guy surrounded by multiple people. And there are people who very much have the opportunity where they could stab or shoot the guy in the back, and they just don't. It's like it's just sloppy. It's not good. Not good.
Yeah.
So by comparison, our more modern action movies, well, more modern, the ones that came out this year, last year, last five,
Mhm.
10 years, have been better in that way.
Yeah.
Um, I actually watched a thing online that was people that talk about sword fights, and they were talking about that thing about having the one person fight a whole bunch of different people, and how that can be done right, and when it's not done right, you can tell. And I realized that I'd watched that video before I watched those ninja movies, and I was like, oh, this is the thing they were talking about.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was sad. Okay.
If you
Well,
ever do, oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead, Austin.
If you ever do want to watch something that leans into that type of camp, like definitely is a spoof film, like it's
Uh,
just stupid fun. Velocipaster. Oh my God, it is the funniest movie ever. I remember almost passing out from laughing at it. It was that terrible, but it was so much fun. If you ever just need a movie to just sit with your friends in a call or whatever, or just in like a room,
mm,
Velocipaster. Terrible movie.
Velocipaster.
Funny.
yeah. I I have not watched it or its sequel that I know exists, but I know that they are out there. I've
Mhm.
seen them in passing. It's like, oh, look, that's a thing that
Yep.
happened. Someone made that.
You hear about it, it is so much better whenever you're watching it. I can't do it justice
Hmm.
whenever I try and describe Velocipaster. It's literally you have to see it to believe it. It's so unbelievably funny. Anyway, that was my 2 cents on that. I just wanted to talk about the spoof.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too long ago when me and Ashton were trying to find. Well, first of all, when I convinced him to watch Saw with me, at first he was like, I would rather watch Two-Headed Shark Massacre or like whatever that movie is called.
Hmm.
Um, it's just one of those strange early 2000s movies that had nothing to do with anything, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, I'd rather watch that." And I was like, "Well, we can watch both." But he started scrolling, seeing the worst movies on IMDb, and one of them was called The Amazing Bulk.
Yes, I know that one. That one's
Yes.
hilarious.
I don't know that one.
It's entirely superimposed on a green screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did consider watching that. I did consider watching that as well as Saw.
Hmm.
Real nice juxtaposition there.
Hmm. Okay.
But yeah, that's my recommendation for a bad movie, I guess. A movie that I've never seen, The Amazing Bulk.
Uh, Usually my go-to bad movie, because it's not a good movie, but I love it, is the first, because they made more than one. In the Name of the King, the one with Jason Statham. There are so many big name actors in that movie because it's Jason Statham and Burt Reynolds and Matthew Lillard, uh, and Lily Sobieski, and the guy that played Gimli, and just so many big names. Ron Perlman's in it, and Claire Forlani, huge names. Such a terrible movie. It's just wow. It's not a good movie, but I love it. It's just so much fun. Um, and at no point do you watch it and go, "Oh, this is a good movie." But it's fun.
you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, today is Monday, May 18th. It is the first day of what we call intersession, which is a time between semesters, in this case, between the end of the spring semester and the beginning of our summer sessions. Having trouble talking is not good on a podcast. Um, and so we had talking about in-betweenness, in between times, in between places. What are your takes on in betweenness?
The limbo.
Limbo. Yes.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I was in AP studio art,
Hmm.
and I really wanted my last project, like my main project, my theme to be uh the word for threshold. There we go. Things that are over the threshold, so that transition, the act of transitioning.
Hmm.
But I was like 15 and not like that's something that a college level artist would probably be making art about. So I gave up and instead made art about my D&D campaigns for my final for my portfolio. That's the word, portfolio.
Hmm.
So that was the first thing that I thought of when it came to like in between Limbo was that one project that I really wanted to do of the transition in between one place to another. Another word for it is, or like another phrase is, what's that word for places that that only exist to be the middle point of point A and point C or point B? Like an airport, liminal spaces.
Okay.
I wouldn't call that liminal, but
What, an airport?
eh, I
You're only
just
really going to be at an airport to go somewhere. You're not
fair.
going
When
to
I
be at
think
an
of
airport
liminal,
for
I think of like a
transition.
place that shouldn't exist, but that's me being really nitpicky with it. Continue. I'm not gonna be that guy.
Well, now let me look at the definition of liminal.
Damn it! Now you're making me the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna correct you.
No.
I was going to go with transitory, but
Yeah. Liminal describes a state, time, or pa space of transition, being on the threshold in between one thing and the next.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Ha.
Hey man, I have the Backrooms movie on my side. I know what I'm doing.
Um, but yeah, oh well, I could keep talking about being in the threshold of things and things.
we have time. Go ahead.
I'm currently in between moving. I'm not yet packed. That's actually not true. I've been packed for a while. So I have some of my stuff still packed up, but me and my partner are in the middle of getting a house
Mm.
and we're not closing until the 27th, so we have about 9 days. We have like less than a week until we close on this house. Um, and then who knows what'll happen. Almost as if I'll move in there or something. But that's currently the in-between space that I'm in right now, where I'm in between still living with my current situation and going into the next situation. And it's scary.
Mm.
Getting a house is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Uh,
wouldn't know.
yeah, you wouldn't
Yeah.
know.
Well, that's a thing. Funnily enough, I actually don't really know that myself. I uh, have never actually bought a house. I have started to buy a house. I've done a thing where, like,
So you've leased this entire time?
I've, yeah, we have rented apartments or rented houses my whole adult life. Yes. Um, my when my mom moved out of the house that she had lived in with my dad for forever, in the place where we lived when I was in high school, um, another member of the family had bought the house for a while, but they were in military, and so they were um, relocated. And we had a desire to keep the house in the family. So my wife and I were like, okay, well, we'll buy it, and we were buying it from them, basically kind of leasing, like lease to own kind of a thing. But at the time, with our work and life schedule, um, living in one town and then commuting to another for all of our work life experiences was problematic. And there were those issues that you have when you are buying a home, where when things go wrong, you have to pay for it. You don't get to, call a landlord. You don't get to call maintenance and go, hey, can you come fix this? You have to, make the calls yourself and get it taken care of and then pay for whatever the thing is. Um, and we weren't ready for it. We didn't have the finances to take on that particular situation at that time. Like if we'd had the money that we're making now, then it probably would have been fine. But that wasn't what our situation was. So we, sorry, left a house that we were buying, and went into another apartment and have basically been in apartments since then.
Hmm.
You're still in an apartment?
I'm still in an apartment.
Hmm. Yeah, I have 5 animals, so it's kind of hard to get an apartment in that situation.
Sure.
And then not to mention, I've mentioned this to two of you before, but my mom is in the real estate business
Mhm.
and she was vehemently against me renting. Um, because she was like, you need to live somewhere where you can get your money back.
Mhm.
Um, and it's it just happened to be that, and I am pretty fortunate to have the savings to buy a house.
Mhm.
Thankfully, when I went to school, I had plenty of scholarship money to pay for my school and then some. So
Mhm.
I immediately took all the scholarship refund money that I received and just immediately put it into savings.
Yeah.
Immediately put it into high yield savings accounts, certificate of deposits, stuff like that. Um, and my mom she's very financially kind, where she was also very much against me paying rent to live with her. She
Mhm.
was like, no, you're not going to pay for anything because you need to save up.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not going to argue with that.
Right.
Why would I argue with that?
Mhm.
But yeah, she was very adamant that I just save as much as possible so that when I do move out, I have the ability and also, of course, make sure that I have a job at the time that I do move out so I can continue to be able to pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
But yes, now that I work here, I have a bit more not security because there is no such thing as entirely and 100% job security.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but now that I have the ability to, why not? Ashton also works here at MSU as well.
Mhm.
We can maybe one day have him on the podcast.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I have met him once, but that was an
Yeah,
awkward situation. I mean, not the meeting part. It was just because it was at the honors banquet, and it wasn't really a situation that lent itself to us having, hey, get to know
in-depth
you kinds of
conversation. Yeah.
conversations. But yeah, we could.
hmm Ashton
Uh,
probably has a lot to, if Austin is here too, they probably have a lot to talk about when it comes to Warframe. Warhammer.
There you
Sorry.
go. Yep.
Yeah.
Wrong war thing.
Yeah, I told you. I told Austin this earlier where I constantly confuse Warframe and Warhammer. The reason being is that Ashton has like 1,000 hours in Warframe, I
Mhm.
think, close to that.
Yep.
And that's not a joke. The most hours that I have in anything is Animal Crossing. I have 1,000 hours in Animal Crossing on the DS. And then after that, Outlast Trials. I recently checked, and Outlast Trials, which is like Saw the video game, um, is
But with
five,
friends.
pardon?
But with friends.
But with friends. Yes, you can experience the horrors together. I have 500 hours in Outlast Trials, which is a sign of some kind of psychological problem.
Ah, rookie numbers. Gotta boost those.
You gotta boost those up. Honestly, I've been bored of Outlast Trials. It's gotten boring. Or where I experience the horror and terror of being tortured via MK Ultra. And I'm just like, this is boring. It's nothing new.
Wow. You're in your old age, you have become so jaded.
Yeah, I can't even.
What happened to the life and the spark in your eye? Where did it go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen everything.
Okay. I just had a flash of the, Rutger Hauer speech at the end of Blade Runner, but that's okay. Um, okay. So, Austin, what is your crossing the threshold in between situation outlook?
Right now, it is the fact that I have just graduated, specifically with my bachelor's, which I know that does denote me de facto as still the baby of the library, but uh, I still take pride in that because in my family, I'm one of the. You stop that. I
Pinching
still
your
take
little
pride in it because
cheeks.
in my family, I'm the first to do it like before I'm 25. I'm the first to do it with no debt and pretty much on my own.
Hmm.
My parents never had to foot a bill for anything. Uh, I paid for out of pocket whenever tuition did come in. Like I was able to handle most of it pretty independently. Not entirely. I'm never going to claim that ever. Because like Sam said, with their mom. My dad did the same thing for me for about the first 3.5 years, where I was like, hey, can I pay rent to be here while I'm going to classes? And he just refused.
Hmm.
So, still, wholly acknowledge that. Very thankful for
Very
that.
thankful. Yeah.
Yes. But right now, I got my degree. We got it done with, and I don't have to see D2L probably again for the foreseeable future. And right now, I know what my plans are in the future,
Hmm.
kind of, but it it requires a bit of a limbo state, but a voluntary one, I think, because I'm going from about 19 years of just being in nothing but academia, mind you. Obviously, kindergarten is a different type of academia, but being in like school, going to classes, having all that done, like 19 years of my life, I'm for the first time in a while just doing the job thing, which is a new thing for me. It's a very like I wouldn't say unstructured because work kind of conflates with that, but it is a different type of structure. And I have the blessing of being in here for about a year and a half now as a full-time position, but it's still almost surreal to be out of that space, even if temporarily, because in about a year's time, I want to go back and get my library sciences master's degree.
Library school.
Yes. Uh, and it's a very odd feeling because I'm happy that it's done. And I want to be clear, I am very happy with what I got. Like, I love my history degree. I love my professors, both in the history and art department. Really, any department that I messed with, I was enjoying it, including like what sociology, mathematics, that type of. I enjoyed pretty much all of it. Not in the moment, obviously. I despised it all, but I digress. Um, so being in this weird limbo state where I'm I have to go to work mentality is like a new thing for me. And I'm excited to say the least, but also I don't know. It's strange not being able to have like a specific word or verbiage to describe the feeling other than just bring it on. That's the best way I can put it. And yeah, I'm ready to face this head on and hopefully grab the bull by the horns. I'm not looking to get gored anytime soon.
Yet.
Hey, don't you breathe that into existence. I know where you work.
Knocking on wood.
Huh.
Terrible.
Um, the I was thinking about the in betweenness thing, and I had said something about like limbo, and I joked about like, the space between the sofa cushions.
Yes.
Um, I I think that there is a lot of life is about perspective, point of view. Um, and I mean, I I know that you are familiar with that from an art viewpoint, but perspective matters so much, and like scale can matter so much. It's like the thing about the space between the sofa cushions is very different as an adult human or as a piece of popcorn. You the space doesn't change, but the way that you experience it can be very different, you know. Um, but there's that, point of view thing, because like the only difference between dawn and dusk is whether you're looking east or west, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but perhaps that's too philosophical for this day. Uh,
Oh no, I like that. It brings to mind almost like this idea of all you need to do in order to like feel more in place is just turn around kind of attitude.
mhm.
Like the idea of limbo makes it feel like you're stuck when you still have your ability to move. And it's just, I've never heard it said like that. I like that. I like that.
I I have found, and I'm not always good at this, but one of the things that happens when you're between places, between situations, is you can get that sensation of being adrift, which is not a great feeling because it's too much like feeling lost. Um, a lot of times it makes a difference if you have a goal, if you have a destination, even when you're between points, when you're somewhere between point A and point B, if you've got that point B out there that you're headed towards, even when you're somewhere random along the road, you don't have that same lost feeling necessarily because you still have that destination to get to. Uh, I do think that sometimes it helps to change your perspective, change your point of view, whether it's checking your rearview mirror, you know, pulling off into a rest stop, getting that bite to eat, taking a break. And there's a lot of different ways that that shows up in real life in different ways. Sometimes you need to take a break from your regular routine, get out and stretch your legs and move yourself.
Stop and smell the roses.
Yes. Um, and I do think that there's that part of life. There's a thing that can happen though that is that lost feeling, which is when you're going along and you think that you're doing the right steps, and something happens, you hit a detour, you miss a turn, and then you really are lost. Um, and that is that scary sensation then. It's like you still have a destination in mind, but you don't know where you are in relation to it anymore. And that's a tough feeling. And specifically then, it's like, I mean, I think that anytime you might need that physical, mental, emotional, spiritual break, but when you actually get that lost feeling, you have to do that because you have to be able to stop and reorient. You have to be able to see, okay, this is this is where I am in relation to where I was coming from, and then you can recalculate, GPS recalculating, and figure out a new way to get to where you had planned to go.
Yeah.
Important to note, though,
Yeah,
to quote, I believe it was Tolkien, not all who wander are lost.
yeah, yeah.
I
It
have
just takes a distance.
realized over the years that, well, first of all, I was always a pretty anxious kid, but now that I've become an adult, and having that
Still up
independence
to
and
date.
having, huh?
Huh?
She didn't
You
hear you.
said now that I've become an adult, and we said still up to debate.
Yeah, honestly, that's not a joke, kind of,
Well,
because
hold on.
sometimes
I
I
meant it
sit
as a joke.
here.
Let's not put
For
meanings into what I
me,
said.
for me, I'm still struggling to be an adult because COVID in particular, um, when I turned 18 was when COVID hit. So a lot of that transition from adolescence to adulthood got stunted. Like I suddenly lost all socialization. I wasn't able to experience the true transition of going from high school to college. I didn't get to feel that total independence up until I was already almost halfway done through college. Um, oh, that's not necessarily true. Until I was a quarter of the way through college. So I spent a whole year just sitting at home, not doing really much of anything, playing video games and doing my homework, the same stuff that I did when I was in high school. But this time I'm an adult. So when I went to college and then I didn't have to, because of my mother, even though I am thankful for it, it didn't necessarily help my ability to get more agency, more independence, and more repercussions. Like, thank you, mother, for paying for me staying at my grandmother's and not requiring me to pay rent. But now I don't know what that's like to be able to constantly lose something in return for another thing. Um, so even then, I'm 23 and I'm still in the limbo of being an adult because now I have to learn these things that I didn't really quite get to learn like I should have. Although everyone becomes an adult at like different rates, not everything is the same. I've noticed with me and my partner that Ashley in particular had said to me like, "Hey, can you grow up a little bit?" And I was like, "Dang, youch." I get it though. So although you are joking, not really much of a joke. Not that I take any offense to it.
It's just trying to get some witty banter in, and look where I got us.
Yeah, now you got
Darn.
us in a serious conversation. Um,
Well, Limbo is pretty serious. I mean,
mm.
my experience with my dad was very much the same way, where it was just like I went from my mom's house to my dad's house, and practically nothing changed. I went to classes and then I went straight home where I never paid rent. He always paid for food. And it was weird too, because then he would like criticize me for not knowing how to do things. And I was so perplexed because I'm like, okay, well, can I pay rent? And he's just like, no.
That's exactly what my mom would do. She would say like, your mom has to pay for everything. She pays for your rent, she pays for your food. And I was like, okay, so this means I no longer have that. You're telling me that I need to, put on my bootstraps and do it myself. And she went, no.
Where'd you get that idea from? Gosh.
Yeah, she exactly was like, no, I just want to hold this over your head so that you feel guilty all the time. No, not necessarily. But it does make me feel guilty all the time.
No, for me, I never felt guilt per se. I went, I'm going to try and make as little problems as I can, and then eventually just to create like this net negative where I am neither benefiting nor being a detriment to anything
Yeah, that's
until I moved out,
realistic.
where I would be like, I'd pay for my own groceries. I would like pay or not pay. I'd like do very little to take up like power or water. Like I would be very net neutral in as much as I could be, which obviously drove me insane. So I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. And that was a weird, hey, limbo state of like, I know that I want to do this, but my inability to do this is making things a problem. So I'm going to take steps in order to GPS reorient myself. And
Making
that came
yourself as
about
small as
through,
possible.
right. That came about through me getting my own apartment, moving in, getting my cat over there. Uh, that really helped me, first off, not feel like I need to be as net neutral as possible. That took a while to break out of. I remember whenever I first moved into my apartment, I wouldn't turn the AC on ever. Didn't matter how cold, hot, did not matter. It would never go on because I was so petrified by the electrical bill that I was just like, nope. Um, but over time, obviously, it relaxes. You realize, oh, this isn't really as dependent on me as I really think it is. And so you relax a little.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember looking things up of like, oh, leaving all the lights off, turning off the AC whenever you leave, doing all of these things to mitigate your electric bill. At the end of the day, doesn't actually really do all that much to save you from a high electrical bill. It's kind of not random.
It's dependent on like the weather outside, and you're having to assume everybody else's weather and air conditioning stuff as a reference. So it's like, yeah, in the middle of December, everyone's heating expenses make electricity bills go up the roof. Like my last bill was like 60. During December, it was like 120. So
Hmm.
like that took a bit to like get used to that whole bit. But it was good. I liked doing it and having like that concrete, like this is how it is type of mentality instead of like this weird quasi you don't need to give anything, but also I'm giving you everything mentality. It was a very strange time. But I'm glad to be where I am, both job and housing situation. I'm doing pretty comfortable, as I'd say.
Yeah, I'm personally terrified.
Yes.
Even in terms of
Yes.
this job, I'm still in a limbo state because I'm not quite new. Like I've been here for over 2 months now. So I'm no longer in that liminal training period, but instead I'm in the liminal space between training period and experienced worker.
Yeah.
So there's just a whole other stage of being that I'm currently in. And also like I said, I've never had to rent like I never leased a place. So I'm gonna have to worry about a mortgage. I'm gonna have to worry about bills. I'm gonna have to worry about expenses,
Utilities and random
utilities,
bills that you've never
groceries,
seen before. Yippee!
dog expenses, and cat expenses. Although I've always taken care of those. They're my dogs and Ashton's cats are his cats, so we've always paid for our own animals. Ever since I moved to my grandmother's, I've also been paying for my own groceries, paying for my own gas, obviously. Well,
It,
some people don't.
all this sounds like so little, but again, as Joe said earlier, it's all about perspective. It's like
We're young, and
we are young.
this is also kind of a different time than it was for, not to age you, Joe, but when you were our age, it's a little bit more. Oh, I'm not gonna assume how difficult it was for you to become an adult, but it is a weird time
Yeah.
for us. It kind of gets harder as time goes.
The uh,
Or it's different. It's
It,
more like
it it's
different.
it well, it's different, and it is a thing where talking about perspectives and percentages, um, although I make more money now than I ever have, my expenditures are also more than they've ever been
Hmm.
because the cost of everything has gone up so much. So there was a time when I was making minimum wage, but had a greater percentage of my paycheck be disposable income because the cost of living was percentage wise so much lower. So
Mm.
I could put gas in the car and pay rent and buy groceries and, still go on a vacation or something with
On a vacation? That's
sure.
crazy.
Well, and it's weird too because it's like you when they talk about things that are currently going wrong with our current financial, economic, political, social system,
Reason.
uh, when they talk about that, one of the things that they talk about is they talk about that tourist numbers are down. And the amount of money that restaurants make is going down because they're seeing less traffic. All of this stuff. It's because it's so expensive. You know,
Mm.
and that is a thing.
And then you
Um,
also have to consider the fact that minimum wage in Texas is still $7.25.
yeah,
I think, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
And it's been that way since how long?
Much longer than it should have been, like 20
Yeah.
years, something like that.
What's that one? I swear I'm not meaning to bring up Tolkien stuff all this much, but what's that one thing that Gandalf says to Frodo? It's like we are all born into exciting times, though none of us wish to be. It's what we
Yeah,
do in those times that like something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, I know what you're
Um,
talking about.
yeah,
yeah, I
So
think that's a good
the
like everybody's in exciting moments or in terrible moments in this instance.
yeah,
Uh, and the best thing that we can do is just try and make the best out of it. But it's also, as we've been kind of mentioning, really hard to do that.
sure.
Because living is a lot more complicated than going throughout the Shire, for instance.
Right. I,
so I looked it up and the minimum wage in Texas, 7.25, started in 2009.
yeah,
Woo.
And I'm looking up to see how much that number is in terms of inflation. So that's about $11.43 now. So the minimum wage, if it was going along the lines of inflation, would be about $11.50.
yeah.
Which even then, if you were to ask me like, oh, how much can that like live you can you live off of that? I would say no, no, you cannot live off of that, probably.
Well, I
I
mean,
was,
yeah.
go ahead.
It was like when minimum wage was like 350 or like $4 when it was. Gas was 99 cents a gallon. So if
Could you
if
give me a year on like a guess? I want to see how much 99 cents is now.
if minimum wage was always no less than 4 times the price of a gallon of gas, then that means that right now minimum wage should be 12 or $16 an hour, and it isn't.
No. I remember when I was a student worker still, the pay was about 800 a month.
Yeah.
And that was when I moved out of my dad's house, and rent was 500 per month.
Mhm.
So I had 300 for food, gas, utilities, everything.
Yeah.
I think I was eating like 750 calories a day for like 4 months. Rough, but I did choose to do that.
Sure.
But like that's $10 an hour.
Hmm.
I can't, and my rent is like absurdly cheap. Is the apartment old? Yes, but it's cheap. I cannot imagine trying to do that in any capacity with a 725 rate. And I think that it would just be physically impossible if I were to do the only way would have to be do two jobs. And so you just gut social life out the way.
Yeah.
The minimum amount of money that you have to make in order to be considered below the poverty line is, I think, 18,000 a year,
Hmm.
which is insane
Hmm.
because 24,000 a year probably wouldn't get you much. Like you would feel probably like you're living below the poverty line.
Yeah.
Although, wait, how much do I make a year again?
I I wanted to ask specifically the two of you, because you've both referenced or, uh, that being stuck in the middle between youth and adulthood. So I want to ask, what what does being an adult mean to you? When you say I'm becoming an adult, I'm going to be an adult, I am an adult now, whatever one of those. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to you to be an adult?
I'll yoink this one first. For
Thank
me,
you, because
my
I have
best
nothing.
example of being an adult would probably just be being able to be self-sufficient in a way that isn't killing you.
Hmm.
Like I was technically independent, but like I was saying, I was starving like every day. Now I'm not. I'd say that as soon as I got a full-time job, I'm settled. The school part, it was almost like that was already there. Everything else is just tacked onto it. I'd say that like once I got this job, once I had a full-time position, it didn't even need to have benefits, though it does. Thank you, MSU. I feel like that was kind of the start of when I would consider myself an adult, whenever I was paying my own bills, my own utilities, thinking about like the instant I started complaining about how high gas prices were, that's when I knew, basically. I was like, 50 cents? What is this? Whereas kid me was just like, that's half a buck. Why are we complaining about this? I think as soon as I started getting annoyed by gas prices,
Hmm.
that was whenever the shift kind of happened in a jokey way.
I
My
get that.
car is a 12-gallon tank, and the last time that I filled up my gas was the first time that I did not fill it too full. I specifically was like, all right, I'm only gonna spend exactly $20 on gas. And that was half a tank at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and now I'm getting back to low again, and I'm like, great, great. That $20 is gonna get me not as far as it did last time. But that's what I'm gonna have to do. And it's a tiny little car with a pretty adequate little gas tank. But that was a moment not too long ago where I was like, oh yeah, here it comes.
For me, like my car requires 93 octane, like the expensive stuff.
Uh,
Uh, oh my God, it cost me almost $80 to
mm,
go from pretty much empty to full on a 16-gallon tank. And it is not gas efficient. It's a Camaro and it eats gas. I guess drinks it would be better appropriate. But anyway, uh, I it literally is like whenever I'm budgeting for a month, I literally have to just assume around $100 for gas for one refill per month. That's assuming I'm not traveling anywhere. That's assuming I'm not going anywhere extra. That's just like the bare necessity uh, to go from work to home and maybe a place to eat like 2 or 3 times a week. Like that's just $100 gone right there monthly. And it kills me whenever I get paid and I'm just like, okay, rent, credit card, uh, utilities, internet. Oh God, $400 is left. Not in this instance, but like it sometimes feels like that. And it's a terrible feeling. But my mom said this to me once, and it's like, that's kind of the cost, though,
Yeah.
especially at our age when we are becoming adults.
Mm.
It's unfortunate and it should be better, but this is just like the life that we have. And this is like a sign that we are living that life, an adult life, if you want to be pedantic about it. But good way to put it because I remember complaining to her, and of course she just went, "You could stick with your dad," and I went, "Never mind, I like where I am."
Yeah. I had mentioned to my mom that I was definitely scared into getting my own house. And she was like, "Well, I guess you could stay as long as these conditions." And I said, "Hell no.
Yeah.
Get me out of here."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, living with your parents is great, except it costs a little bit of your soul.
That is the cost, yes. Uh,
Yes.
I can tell you as a person who's not quite, but roughly three times your age, the I did the thing where I st stayed living with my parents until I was in my 20s, and moved out and then moved back in. And I did that more than once. And when it wasn't my parents, um, we, my wife and I have experienced some financial hardships here and there, and more than once moved in like with an aunt of hers or her grandmother, uh, temporarily, month or two, couple of months, and until we got our feet under us and could get out again. Um, there is that thing that because we talk about Austin, you said something about being an adult and having this, self-sufficiency thing. And I'm going to tell you that self-sufficiency is a myth.
Yay.
Now, the thing that I say is that being an adult is about being responsible for your actions and accepting the consequences for the decisions you make. And as such, I have met teenage adults and I have met 80 and 90-year-old people who have never been an adult. Um, that's a thing, you know. Um, but I think that ideally being human, being human is a community activity.
Yeah.
And there's so much in life that all of these systems in place that support us. And so whenever you hear about some person that's a self-made business
Billionaire.
tycoon, self-made millionaire, any of that, no, they're not.
No.
No, they're not. They were very probably educated in public schools. They drive on public roads. You know, they're not the food that they're eating is not food that they grew in a field and slaughtered themselves and then cooked themselves. It's just not.
Yeah.
Nobody is self-made. Nobody is self-sufficient. We all rely on each other for so much. We are actually all in this together, which makes it particularly mind-boggling and troubling and horrifying when any group goes, oh, those people over there aren't even human. We need to demonize them and get rid of them and throw them into limbo. Um, and it's terrible. And the people that make those kinds of accusations, I would tell you, are not adults, and maybe aren't even human. Community is so central to humanity. If you take that away, then what are you?
It takes a village
It
to
does. It
raise a
really,
human.
really does. Yeah. Okay.
Or isn't it, it takes a village to raise a child?
It takes a village to raise a child. It also
Yes.
takes a village to raise a village.
Hmm.
Because you have that thing where it's like within a village, typically the people that are in that village are from that village. And there is that thing. It's like it takes a village is a sentence all by itself, you
Yeah.
know? We have been talking for an hour, and we should probably think about wrapping up. I have just a couple of announcements about local community things.
Yeah.
Do either of you have anything that you want to make sure you get said before we wrap up?
Is there anything on my end? I can't think of anything at the moment on my end that I'm able to think of. The Nexus in the mall still has weekly and daily events. Sundays in particular, they still paint things like miniatures and stuff that'll help you do it. I believe on Saturdays they do tournaments
Oh,
for war games and all that noise. I think they also play Dungeons and Dragons on Fridays or Saturdays, one of those days.
oh, cool.
The Nexus is an interesting place. I check them out.
Okay. All right. That's a good note. Sam, you got anything?
We got
The
any
only
art
thing I can think of,
workshops?
I'm making poker cards right now, so all I can for art walk. So all
Uh-huh.
I can think about is art walk, but that's not for a bit. Although
I
I
have,
guess there
yeah.
will be an art walk before the next podcast. So come see me at art walk.
Okay. That's a good note. I have a note about art walk. So, all right. Here's my couple of things to mention. There's not many. Wichita Falls Museum of Art at MSU Texas, or WFMA for short, is hosting Live at the Lake this Thursday, May 21st, from 6 to 8, with music from Hannah Bell Lecter. I tried to slow down when I say that. There'll be food from Fox Hill and beverages offered by the Traveling Tavern. Then on May 30th, from 2 to 3, WFMA is hosting a Crafternoon. The next after hours art walk will be June 4th from 5:30 to 9. And then Backdoor Theater is offering its next evening of improv on June 6th at 7:30. Now, if you'd like to have more information about those couple of things that I did mention today, other local activities, please check out the events section of the MSU Texas homepage and the calendar at discoverwichitafalls.com/events. If you have an event you'd like us to announce, if you'd like to be a guest, or if you have any comments or questions or suggestions for any or all of us, please send an email to library@msutexas.edu. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up for us for this time around. So until next month, be careful out there.